Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Wednesday, May 26th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. It has happened yet again. Another deadly workplace shooting, this time 8 people killed. The gunman taking his own life at a rail yard in San Jose. We're going to have that story in a moment, but first we begin with a positive story for all of us. COVID cases on the decline in the county, reaching new lows. KPBS reporter John Carroll with the new numbers and the cautious optimism.
When the history of this time is written, the miracle of vaccines will no doubt be the headline. Vaccines that are incredibly effective. Vaccines that went from trials and into people's arms in record time. Nationwide, 50% of Americans have received at least one dose. 40% are fully vaccinated. In California, 56% have gotten their first dose, 42% fully vaccinated. And in San Diego County, nearly 68% have had their first dose, 52.5% now fully vaccinated.
I feel a tremendous sense of optimism.
Chairman of the County Board of Supervisors, Nathan Fletcher, says San Diego County is on track when it comes to COVID.
We had a day this week with 25 cases. We haven't had 25 cases in well over a year.
It's starting to seem like a distant, horrible memory now, but Fletcher says the main concern of public health officials across the country, including here during the darkest days of the pandemic, was the possibility of overwhelming the healthcare system.
Because we have a vaccine and because such a high number of seniors, vulnerable and elderly have been vaccinated, in my mind, there is no danger to collapsing our healthcare system.
Fletcher says San Diego County will be more than ready when June 15th rolls around, the date when nearly all public health measures in California come to an end.
We're in a really good position, and I think it's a great testament to everything we've gone through over the last year, and I am optimistic and really ready to June 15th begin to move beyond COVID.
Take a second to let those words sink in. Move beyond COVID. We're almost there. John Carroll, KPBS News.
And here's a reminder, if you want to set up a vaccination appointment for yourself or for somebody in your family, you can find a location that's close to you by going to our website, kpbs.org, and clicking on the vaccines link that you can find on our homepage. To our other top story now, at least 8 people are dead and others injured after a shooting at a transportation hub in San Jose. The suspect, identified as a transit employee, killed himself. Governor Gavin Newsom pointed out that similar scenes have played out across the U.S. in recent years with little change.
It begs the damn question, what the hell's going on in the United States of America? What the hell's wrong with us? And when are we going to come to grips with this? When are we going to put down our arms, literally and figuratively, our politics, stale rhetoric, finger pointing, all the hand-wringing consternation that produces nothing except more fury and frustration, more scenes like this repeated over and over and over again.
And according to the Gun Violence Archive, which defines mass shootings as 4 or more people, there have already been more than 200 mass shootings just this year. Daryl Forges has more from San Jose.
This is a horrific day for our city.
Shortly after 6:30 a.m., a gunman opened fire at a public transit maintenance yard in San Jose, California.
While the shots are still being fired, our teams with San Jose PD are entering the building.
We formed multiple tactical teams that came into the building to extricate victims out.
The shooting suspect, an employee of the Valley Transportation Authority, among those killed.
And the biggest thing we want to ensure is public safety for our community out there. And right now, public safety is assured at this point.
The shooting forcing the transit authority to shut down rail service in the city for part of the day.
A terrible tragedy, significant loss of life, which is just horrible for our VTA family.
families and friends of employees desperate for answers, gathering at the nearby Sheriff's County office where authorities established a reunification center.
People in the organization know everyone. This is a terrible tragedy, and we will do everything we can to help people get through this.
I'm Daryl Forges reporting.
It has been nearly 4 weeks since a crippling ransomware attack hit one of San Diego's largest healthcare providers, and it is still unclear when systems could be fully restored. KPBS health reporter Matt Hoffman has the latest on the cyber attack at Scripps Health.
Patients' medical history can be viewed electronically again, and while officials say progress is being made, there's still a lot we don't know, and some systems are still down. Scripps officials don't know if any personal patient data has been compromised. A statement on their website says the investigation into the cyber attack is still ongoing, now nearly 4 weeks in. In a letter to patients this week, Scripps CEO Chris Van Gorder called the attack ransomware. That's where hackers could be holding data in exchange for payment. The last few weeks have been difficult for patients with appointments, blood work, and other procedures being rescheduled or outsourced. Scripps officials say they realize that openly sharing more information is putting them at an increased risk. Van Gorder is telling patients that other attackers are sending scam communications to the healthcare giant. Scripps says they are supporting a federal law enforcement investigation, and while hospitals and urgent care centers are still open and taking appointments, teams are still working to fully restore systems. Van Gorder says they have, quote, thorough backups of data and hope to have electronic health records fully up by the end of this week. The last few weeks, patients have been unable to access their healthcare information online, and once systems go fully live again, there will be a 14-day grace period to pay any outstanding bills. Scripps officials say those who need care should not hesitate to come in for their treatments. They say once the investigation is completed into this cyber attack, if any personal data has been compromised, they will reach out directly to those patients. In Hillcrest, Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
Airlines have seen a rise in unruly passenger behavior. Just this week, a Southwest passenger was arrested in San Diego and charged with attacking and injuring a flight attendant. KPBS reporter Melissa May says the FAA and TSA are now enforcing strict consequences.
FAA Administrator Steve Dixon says he's been appalled by unruly and dangerous behavior on commercial flights recently.
Since January 1st, we've received more than 2,500 unruly passenger reports. We've never seen numbers like this before.
The San Diego airport is gearing up for a busy summer travel season starting this Memorial Day weekend. In order to keep all passengers safe, everyone is required to wear a face mask regardless of vaccination status. Technologies have also been implemented to reduce physical contact. In terms of safety on the actual aircraft, anyone who interferes with, physically assaults, or threatens to physically assault anyone else on the aircraft, including flight crews, could face up to a $35,000 fine and imprisonment.
The president of the Association of Flight Attendants, Sarah Nelson, says flight attendants are quitting because of the physical and verbal assaults they are facing from the public.
Flight attendants are out on the front lines right now, and some are actually punching bags for the public, and it is unacceptable.
TSA spokesperson Lori Dankers says TSA officers are also facing adversity. Nationwide, more than 50 TSA officers have been assaulted this year.
If anything does happen in the security checkpoint, we would make a law enforcement notification.
People who are non-compliant in the security checkpoint could face both civil and criminal charges in the form of fines and jail time. The San Diego airport is getting ready for a very busy travel weekend as people emerge from the pandemic. The airport's newest technologies and security checkpoints are helping officers do their jobs better. One is called credential authentication technology.
We're able to pull up not only from your ID, your basic biographical information, but also your flight information for the day. The TSA officer on screen will be able to verify that you're ticketed for travel in real time without your boarding pass.
CT scanners have been put into place to reduce TSA officers having to do a bag check.
Make a 3D image of the contents of the carry-on luggage. Now, this is important because that 3D image is a clearer view for our officer to be able to see what's in the bag, to determine if there's a security threat.
Dankers recommends getting to the airport 2 hours early and coming to the security checkpoint prepared. Melissa May, KPBS News.
The San Diego Unified School Board plans to rename Lindbergh Schweitzer Elementary School because of anti-Semitic and racist views expressed by the school's namesakes. The board voted to rename the school Claremont Canyons Academy. It was founded in 1980 and named after aviator Charles Lindbergh and medical missionary Albert Schweitzer. Controversy surrounds Lindbergh for his support of Nazi Germany. Schweitzer had voiced racist views about Africans. In March, the board renamed Sarah High to Canyon Hills High after students initiated the name change because of Father Junipero Serra's role in the colonization of Native Americans. The city of Chula Vista voted to permanently remove the Christopher Columbus statue at Discovery Park. KPBS reporter Alexandra Rangel tells us about what locals are hoping will come from this historic decision.
The Christopher Columbus statue that was once mounted on top of this brick pedestal has been sitting in storage for almost a year now. And after much deliberation and community input, the Chula Vista City Council has decided that the statue won't be coming back to Discovery Park. Stains of red paint can still be seen on the pavement where the statue once stood, serving as a reminder of the vandalism and protests that led to the statue's removal. Elena Iscali, who grew up playing softball at Discovery Park, was one of the dozens of people who spoke at Tuesday's city council meeting.
I would pass the Columbus statue multiple times a week, literally looking up to a man who had committed genocide to people just like me.
The council voted 4-1 to get rid of the statue and declared October 12 Indigenous Peoples Day in Chula Vista. The city's Human Relations Commission played a big role in advocating for the removal of the statue, saying it did not represent the people or the values of Chula Vista. Commission member Ricardo Medina says the statue should be replaced with a marker.
Marking the dates, the community came together in the name of justice, in the name of truth and reconciliation, to recreate, reconceptualize the park.
The commission will be in charge of developing a task force to help remain and transform the park into something that unifies the community. Councilman John McCann was the single no vote, adding he wasn't in favor of changing the name of the park. But Medina finds the name problematic.
It perpetuates this concept of discovery, that there was nobody here. There was nobody that occupied these lands when Columbus got here.
Alexandra Rangel, KPBS News.
Increasing numbers of asylum seekers have been allowed to enter the United States. KPBS reporter Max Rivlin-Nadler was on the ground in Tijuana as it was decided who must stay and who can enter.
The migrant camp in El Chaparral Plaza in Tijuana has only grown in recent weeks. Hundreds of asylum seekers from Central America, from Africa, from the Caribbean wait for the day the United States fully restores its asylum system along the southwest border. But for the first time since the camp sprung up in February, there's some hope. A few families who have been living here are getting into the United States, escaping the cramped and dangerous spaces of the haphazard camp.
And these are terrible conditions. You know, you have kids that are running around. It wasn't until recently that the local government put in bathrooms and showers, and so people were trying to figure out how to maintain cleanliness without having the means to do so. And so it's been a struggle for them.
The American Friends Service Committee is one of the few groups still making trips to the camp to offer support, face masks, hygiene kits, and some advice about this new way to safely enter the United States. It's part of a deal struck between the American Civil Liberties Union and the Biden administration, stemming from a lawsuit challenging a migrant expulsion policy known as Title 42. The deal now allows for 250 families or individuals to enter the United States along the southwest border each day to pursue their asylum claims. Deciding who ends up on the list that gets sent to the U.S. government is up to these service providers on the ground in Tijuana. It's based not on their claims of asylum from their home countries, but how much danger they face in Mexico.
You can imagine how many petitions, how many parole requests are being handled at this time, just at this port of entry alone.
Robert Vivara is swamped as he tries to make it through the encampment, looking for someone whose case he's looking into. His office is just down the block from the camp. dozens of people ask him when they'll get a call back from overworked immigration lawyers, or tell him their child is sick and in danger. There's just no way for Vivar to help everyone, but he's trying.
It's kind of difficult, to tell people to have patience when, they're running away because of persecution. It's not safe. Right. Where they're coming from, or even here, they've had threats. That they've been followed, and it's a difficult situation for them, and you can understand why they would be so desperate for information.
Right now, the focus has been to locate pregnant women, people with pressing medical needs, and those in immediate danger in Mexico. But migrants without working papers or homes are constantly under threat in Mexico. Rafa Interiano, a member of the LGBT community, is one of those people who could have a strong asylum case were he allowed into the U.S. He says he fled Honduras after his house was burned down. He was beaten and his friends were killed. Under the current arrangement, he's not being prioritized.
Es bien duro porque los abogados que han venido.
He says it's been hard because the volunteer lawyers that come, they're asking for families, for people with serious illnesses. So he can't find representation. It's really hard to be alone for a situation like this one. Every morning and afternoon, Customs and Border Protection agents call out names at the port of entry in Tijuana. Late Thursday afternoon, several families entered the United States to begin an asylum process that will take years to resolve. Dulce Garcia, the executive director of Border Angels, spent 3 weeks working in the encampment, finding the people who can get to safety now. She's now helping them from the U.S. side of the border.
People are now saying, the tent next to me is leaving because they're crossing to the U.S. finally, and that brought hope to people in the encampment, which also made people a lot more desperate for them to hear their cases first.
Garcia hopes that this system won't last much longer. Pressure is growing on the Biden administration to drop Title 42 and restore the asylum system along the border. Until that happens, the encampment at El Chaparral won't be going anywhere. Robert Vivar says.
As people leave, more people take their spot.
Max Rivlin-Adler, KPBS News.
President Joe Biden is directing the intelligence community to investigate the origins of the COVID pandemic. Isabel Rosales reports on the controversial theory that is now garnering the interest of scientists.
Growing scrutiny about the origins of the coronavirus. While many scientists believe the virus emerged naturally at a Wuhan wet market, its source has not been definitively traced.
And the way to know is to go there, sequence all these early viruses, and see how things went from bats to humans, and perhaps with an intermediate host.
The lab leak theory, once considered a conspiracy, is now gaining traction.
I believe what most likely happened is there was an accidental leak followed by a criminal cover-up.
A U.S. intelligence report found several researchers at China's Wuhan Institute of Virology got sick with COVID-like symptoms and had to be hospitalized before China's first reported case. The lab and China's government strongly deny the report.
If it did come out of a lab, that would be a first for the world, is that right?
I believe so.
And new CNN reporting shows President Joe Biden's team shut down a Trump-era State Department investigation to prove the virus originated in a Chinese lab over concerns about the quality of the work. The probe, headed by then Secretary of State Mike Pompeo.
Have you seen anything that gives you high confidence that it originated in that Wuhan lab?
Martha, there's enormous evidence that that's where this began.
The consensus among health experts and lawmakers, there needs to be an investigation.
We're 18 months into this pandemic and no one can show where this virus came from.
In Washington, Isabel Rosales, KPBS News.
Tens of thousands of San Diego Unified School District students will have free access to in-person morning classes and afternoon summer activities. More than 65 nonprofits, including the San Diego Foundation, are supporting the newly created Level Up SD. The program is open to all K through 12 students enrolled at San Diego Unified Schools for the 2021 to 2022 school year. It starts on June 21st, and families can register online at levelupsandiego.org. More California students could be admitted to UC schools under a new proposal. The LA Times reports that state senators proposed cutting the share of international and out-of-state students admitted to the public universities from 19% down to 10%, and that would make room for about 4,600 more in-state students each year. A college counselor who spoke to our media partner KGTV says it has become increasingly difficult to get into UC schools.
When I saw those decisions come in, deny wait list with a handful of kids that I thought these kids are probably going to get in, I thought, wow, something has really changed.
The University of California Office of the President says while it supports providing more opportunities for Californians, the out-of-state fees help fund financial aid for low-income undergraduates and that non-resident students enrich the overall experience. After months being closed to the public, the Ocean Beach Pier will partially reopen this Friday. The pier has been closed since January after portions of the railing were damaged in high surf. It will still be closed during times of very high tide. A recent report estimates the long-term fixes could cost up to $50 million compared to replacing the pier, which would cost between $40 and $60 million.
We're looking at some nice, warm, sunny afternoons in the days to come with some seasonably warm temperatures to just slightly above average. So it's not going to be the heat that we've been used to. There's also no rain in sight just yet. Looking ahead tonight in the metro, temperatures will be dropping off into the low 60s. We will have a little bit of some thicker cloud cover there near the coast. During the overnight period, temperatures dropping down to 57 degrees in Oceanside. Borrego Springs getting down to 68 degrees. Ramona 45 for you for that overnight low tonight. Looking ahead to your Thursday, the main warmth is likely going to be further interior sections, but we'll see continued warmth here for much of the southern portions of California here. Near the coast, it'll likely stay a little bit cooler as per usual, but the interior sections are likely going to be pretty mild out there. Temperatures near the coast, upper 60s to low 70s out there. Further inland, again, the heat is on. We're going to get into the upper 90s in Borrego Springs, getting up to 79 degrees in Ramona for your Thursday afternoon. And Friday, not much of a change here, just another sunny and warm day here to finish off the work week. Looking ahead to the coast, temperatures, again, not seeing a whole lot of change here, just sitting in the upper 60s and low 70s. A little bit of some thicker clouds perhaps out there early in the morning, but we should see those clouds break and allow for some sunshine as we head into the afternoon hours. Further inland, temperatures are just a little bit warmer. It looks like we're going to peak right around 80 degrees on your Friday, and after that, temperatures will drop back down into the mid-70s as we head into the weekend. In the mountains, temperatures are a little bit cooler as per usual. We're only going to be in the mid-60s out there for your Thursday and Friday. Temperatures drop off just a little bit for your Sunday, back down into the low 60s. But after that, we start off the new work week on a little bit of a milder note, getting back up into those upper 60s. And the heat is on in the desert. No changes here. Upper 90s on the board for you through the rest of the work week and heading into the weekend. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Jessica Pash.
An animal rights organization has filed suit against gubernatorial candidate John Cox. In the lawsuit, Animal Protection and Rescue League is accusing Cox of abusing a 1,000-pound bear and endangering the public during campaign stops where he used the animal as part of his campaign. The lawsuit accuses the Rancho Santa Fe resident of drugging the bear for this purpose and seeks an injunction to prevent him from continuing. Many in-person events are making a return after the pandemic year, and that includes the Big Bay Boom Fireworks Show. The Port of San Diego officials have announced that the show will happen this year on July 4th, starting at 9 p.m. This will be the 20th Big Bay Boom Fireworks Show and is one of the largest in the country. Spectators can watch from several locations to get the best views, and that includes Shelter Island, Harbor Island, Spanish Landing, Embarcadero, Cesar Chavez Park, as well as Coronado Tidelands Park. A new glass art studio in Carlsbad is giving visitors a closer look at the art of glass blowing. KPBS North County reporter Tanya Thorne gives us a tour of Barrio Glassworks.
Blow again. Carlsbad Village is the home to Barrio Glassworks, a new glass-blowing studio, gallery, and shop dedicated to the art of glass. Mary Devlin, one of the owners of Barrio Glassworks, picked up glass blowing after her son, Drew Raskin.
Drew went to college and studied glass, and we kept taking seminars. And so when we got ready for our second act, we decided to be glass blowers.
Devlin opened the family-run studio in December with her son and husband.
So we knew we wanted a public access where people could really watch what we were doing. The shop is designed so we can do our work and other artists can also rent the benches. And then the third part of the studio is that we have a resident artist.
This is gonna be the cup. And I'm making a bottom now.
The studio's first resident is now Yamamoto, a glass-blowing artist recently featured in the Netflix show Blown Away.
But I've been trying to create more contemporary art side. So I make installations. I challenge myself to create something bigger, and so that we can see a different texture or different idea about what the glass is. It's been fun. It's been a fun journey.
The public is invited to experience Yamamoto's residency, running now through Friday.
But when people come over, they can see that us working on a glass. And more than anything, I think people get to see our teamwork, because even though I'm the artist, it's not just me making the art. It's about the teamwork and it's about the communities.
And Devlin invites the community to be a part of their own glass art experience.
Come in and make your own. You're holding the pipe. You're putting it in that 2200-degree glory hole, and you're getting to pull the glass and really get to see what it's like.
Barrio Glassworks hopes to host more resident artists and will add a new make-your-own seasonal project regularly. In Carlsbad, Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley. And by the following: and by viewers like you. Thank you.